Dear third year students, I'm starting a number of YouTube lessons to explain or overview the lessons that have not been covered last year because of the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm going to go through the lessons that are supposedly not covered last year, starting with the fourth section of your book. So you'd better have your book open on the on page that is going to be page 168. And of course, you can pause the video anytime you want to go back to your books and check out your homework or anything you want to do, and come back anytime you want. So I'm starting with this fourth section, which is a lesson that is supposed to be dedicated to speaking skills. So we're starting with the first activity. I'm reading the question, read the statements and put a tick under the heading that is appropriate to your case. So here are the statements. We're going to answer or tick where appropriate in never, rarely, sometimes, usually, or always, which are adverbs of frequency. So regarding the answer is supposed to be a personalized answer, so different students might have different answers to these statements. So I'm reading the first. I think that success is linked to intelligence rather than hard work. So which one is more important here? Is intelligence more important to be successful, or rather hard work? So you're supposed to answer that. Moving on to the second, my home and school environment value education and hard work. You're supposed here to again tick where appropriate. So do your home and school environment, your family and the school environment value. As you can see here, value is used as a verb, not as a noun, which is most often the case. So value here is a verb. So do your home, your family and the school environment value education and hard work? I hope so. I'm involved in extracurricular activities like sports, music and theater. Do you usually do some extracurricular activities? Here talking about activities that people do outside school. The fourth goes, I am involved. The fourth goes, I'm absent, don't go to school for 5 or more days per term. And by term here we mean a trimester or a semester, any term that according to which the school year is organized. Moving on to the fifth, I revise my lessons and I do my homework daily. Here the focus is on daily. Do you do your homework and revise daily, or otherwise weekly, or depending on your schedule? 6, my classmates and I work together outside school. So do you? We're talking about never to always. 7, I talk with my parents about various issues. So do you talk to your parents openly about your issues and things that are of concern to you? 8, my parents offer me warmth and support. Are they always offering you warmth and support? Are they supportive? Are they offering you the warmth, which is the noun from the word warm? Here we're talking about affective roles of parents. 9, my teachers try to understand my fears and concerns. So are your teachers understanding and concerned about your fears and things that you believe are important to you as a youth? 10, tests give me clear ideas about my weaknesses and strengths. Do they? When you have a mark in a test, do you think that that mark or grade is giving you any idea about what you are weak at and what you are good at? 11, when we correct tests, I understand my mistakes and I learn how to avoid them in the future, which is one of the things that we're supposed to do when we get our papers back, is to look for the things that we must avoid next time. 12, when I sit for a test, I get frightened. So are you Or do you get frightened whenever you sit for a test or pass an exam? I think you shouldn't be. Moving on to the second page of that lesson, in which we have a picture of a family here, and the instruction goes, look at the picture and read the school report, then answer the questions below. As you can see, we have a family in here having breakfast, and while having breakfast, a school report came in. The student is having the shock of his life, or is he shocked? Maybe he knew about the school report, but he doesn't look so. He is looking surprised, shocked, maybe frightened of the reaction of his parents. That's what we are supposed to describe in a paragraph. I'm reading the instruction we're supposed to do. Identify the problem. I think we did that. We're having a student receiving his report while his parents are watching in awe, shock, and dismay. Describe the reactions of the parents. Of course, as you can see, they look surprised, very surprised, shocked, maybe angry, as the face of the parent is turning red. Their eyes are wide open. They are, the coffee cup is getting overthrown. Even the cat is having the reaction that we are talking about. And the younger son is also looking at the report. Describe the reactions of the parents, the brother, the boy himself, and even the cat. So we've been through that. With your classmates, of course, you can look for other adjectives that can be used to describe the reactions of the family members. With your classmates, discuss and make a list of the possible reasons why the boy had those poor school results. The ideas in activity 1 might help you. So the reasons for having such a low school mark, talking about problems at home. Maybe the parents are getting divorced. Maybe they are fighting and arguing all the time at home in front of the kid. Maybe he is getting older, getting into adolescence and thinking about other things apart from being attentive at school. Maybe he does not pay attention in the classroom. Maybe he's thinking about other things like having a girlfriend or watching or paying too much attention to games. I'm talking about football games or video games, or he's not revising at all, or he's not revising as much as he should do. I'm sure the school mark that he got is going to make him review that and work harder. The activities we have in the following page. Imagine a conversation between the parents and their son over the reasons that led to those poor school results and the possible solutions to improve them in the future. So this is what you're supposed to do, to write a dialogue, a conversation between the parents and the son over the school marks that he got. The son is going to use such expressions as I do apologize to express apology. I'm very sorry, or to express regret. I promise, or they say we promise, expressing a promise. I will, or we will, something that they promise or intend to do in the future. We're going to, same thing, talking about something that you might do in the future. Why don't we, for suggesting something to do. I see no reason why to express, refusing or objecting to what the other person you're speaking to is saying. It's true that, but, or however, to disagree with someone politely, this is not what we wanted. Again, to object to what someone has done. You should have to talk about something that you should have done but didn't get done. I should have first to talk about to express regret, something that I should have done but I didn't do. So, for example, I should have revised much more. The parents speaking might say you should have revised, which expresses, as we said, not agreeing with what he has done. You could have talked to us or asked for help. So that is the conversation you're supposed to write. Moving on to section 3 in writing. Before you write, we're going to talk about these things. Look at the list of resources you might use to study at school or at home, then answer the questions. So these are a list. This is a list of resources people might use to study either at school or at home. We got books. First, of course, we're talking about books that pupils use at school or people use outside. Dictionaries, encyclopedias. Of course, dictionaries are the books used to know the definition of words or to understand them. Encyclopedias are those big books in which you find almost information about anything with pictures and everything. Magazines, magazines, videos, cassettes, videos for visuals, cassettes for audio, computers, and the internet. So which resources do you make use of? If we're going to answer that question, we might start with either the resources that I usually use are, or to study, I usually use this and that. The second, how often do you use them? We use how often to ask about the frequency. How many times do we do something during a period of time? So it might go, you use an encyclopedia to look for mainly scientific themes or ideas once a week or twice a day or 3 times a month. In which school subject do you use them? So, for example, I use most of these resources when studying physics or chemistry. 4, do you like learning from videos and TV or from reading books? I think most students will find books, especially school books, not funny at all, and not, they do not make them interested in the lesson. So most pupils and most learners might choose videos and TV over books because they are more appealing and make them more interested in what the message is. 5, do you like looking for information in a book or online? As you can see here, you can write online as one word or on its own and line on its own. So that's a yes, no question. Which one do you think is more useful? Ask your classmate about a book he or she has read recently. Find out. So we're going to answer these questions. For example, I'm reading a book that I want to tell others about. What type of book it is. Of course, here we do not have a subject-verb inversion because this is not a question, because it was embedded in this sentence that starts with find out, which is expresses the imperative. So find out what type of book it is. If it were a question, we might start as follows. What type of book is it? So the answer would be the book that I'm reading now or that I have recently read is, for example, a drama book, a comedy book, a tragedy book might be, or a scientific book, a politics book. So we have lots of types of books. Why he or she chose it? Maybe because I am interested in that type of books. where the story is set. So if it has a story, as in novels, short stories, etc., we have a setting for actions. When we talk about settings, we're talking about time and place of the events, the main events that are happening in the story. So that question should be answered with this setting, time and place. Who the main characters are. So we're supposed to answer with the main characters of the book, especially when talking about events that are taking place in a short story. What the story is about, he is supposed to, in a concise way, tell the person you're speaking to about the story. Don't be long and don't tell all details. In last question, what he or she thought of it. What do you think about it? This is the question, in other words. So we're going to tell them about our idea of the book after having finished reading it. So as you write, this is the type of writing we're talking about. Your teacher has asked you to write a report for the school magazine on a book you have recently read. So this is a different type of writing, which is a book report, which is something people usually write after reading a book to tell others about it. Your teacher is hoping that other students in the school will then become interested in reading the book after you tell them about it. You may like to use the plan below as a guide. In the introduction, you tell them about these things. What type of book is it? Where is it set? And who are the main characters? In the body of the writing task, you're going to tell them about the plot, what it was about, and describe the events in the order in which they happen in the story. As a conclusion, you're going to answer these questions. What do you think of the book? You give them your own idea about the book, whether it is a good one or not. Why do you think so? And would you recommend it to others? By recommend, we mean advising others to read it or not. So, for example, we can tell them about a book we have recently read, and for example start as this. The book I have recently read is, for example, a tragedy book written by Shakespeare, the famous English playwright. The title of the book is, or it is entitled, its main characters are, it was about, in the end, you're going to tell them, for example, that I think the book was very interesting or very appealing because of the story that unfolds in it, and I highly recommend that you read it. These are just tips and pieces of advice of how to write a book report. You can find these on page 172, the layout, the readers, the organization, etc. Useful language that can be used. This is a love story, a thriller, a classic, etc. You can read them and go through them and use them. I'm skipping the arts lesson, and as you can see, we are done with the 5th module. I'll be back in another video for the 6th module. Thank you everybody for listening. I hope you enjoyed that, or it was helpful. As I said, you can, if you find that I'm speaking a bit rapidly, you can go back and pause and go back to your books whenever you need to do so. See you next time.